All right, so today's presentation is about abandoned mine land's effect on projects in the gold country, specifically projects to restore ecosystem resiliency, and that by including assessment in these projects, the project can be improved and can be used as an opportunity to address the longest neglected environmental issue of our state. So the gold rush impacted every aspect of the Sierra. It left mine-scarred lands, it left meadows in a degraded state, it resulted in the degraded state of our forests that we have today, in that the forests were logged to timber the mines and build the towns, and then the fire suppression era that followed to protect the infrastructure. Dams were built so that hydraulic mining could resume, dams that would hold back that debris. And these blocked fish passage to critical habitat. The most infamous of those is Daguerre and Englebright. So whether you're doing a project that has trail alignment, a forest health project, or a fish habitat project, abandoned mine lands impacts need to be part of the project design and part of the project permitting. To make sure we are all on the same page, I always include this slide. There are more than 40,000 abandoned mines in California. There are hard rock mines, there are hydraulic mines, and each one of these has impacts. There can be physical hazards or chemical hazards. And mercury was mined in the Coast Range, brought up to the Sierra Nevada, and there's 10 to 13 million pounds of mercury that was just lost to the environment. So that's what we mean by what happened during that gold rush and how many abandoned mines there are today. Skip forward to 2021 and realize that the Tahoe National Forest was the epicenter of the gold rush, with some of the most extensive gold deposits and more mining claims within its 850,000 acre forest boundary than any other national forest. So Tahoe National Forest, rivers, streams, wetlands across the public land act as receiving water bodies for the sediment and mercury that runs off the denuded hydraulic mine sites during every storm event. The even-aged monoculture forests with diminished capacity for carbon storage are under attack by pests, disease, and vulnerable to megafire. And as climate change results in warmer temperatures, consequent drier conditions will result in longer fire seasons with significant carbon emission implications. So here, this blue boundary you can see is the same Trapper Forest Health Project that Willie was speaking to. That's currently being planned by the Tahoe National Forest, and how that forest health project overlays with fire hazard severity zones. So we're going to take a close look at this area as a case study throughout this presentation and where the hydraulic mine sites are within that perimeter. So we've been talking a lot about hydraulic mines. What does it look like out there? Well, because hydraulic mines were created in similar ways, they share these similar characteristics. The monitors or water cannons that were used to power wash away the soils means that they tend to be active erosional areas, resulting in that sediment going downstream. They can have drain tunnels on them, ditches, ponds. It's all about water conveyance on these sites. Though they may be somewhat dry today, they may still also have water running through them, especially during storm events. There are gullies, there are head cuts, and they're complex sites with multiple outflow points. What changed? Why are we able to address these hydraulic mine sites today in a way that we haven't before? Well, part of that reason is that when you look at what you can see in the aerial photography side on the left, it's pretty hard to tell where the hydraulic mines are until you're on the ground. But with LiDAR, we can delineate where the hydraulic mining took place, where that soil was washed away, and we can plan better where these sites are and the impacts that, or the ways in which they overlap with these other land use projects. So not only do we have hydraulic mine sites, but we also have, this is a debris control dam and a sediment deposit behind that debris control dam here. So this was built so that these hydraulic mines could continue. Material would be conveyed down these channels and captured behind the debris control dam. One important thing to note is we still don't have LiDAR for all forests, and we don't have a single complete inventory of hydraulic mines for all forests. So more hydraulic mining took place in the Tahoe National Forest than any other, like I mentioned, and it's one place that we have LiDAR. that's why we're focusing here. The other thing that changed is that our understanding of how these sites are operating today shifted. So what's happening at these sites during storm events? Well, water is coming off of them, and it's this distinct iron oxide or yellowy water that's coming off these hydraulic mines. And from our sampling efforts, we know that mercury, specifically a certain form, the particulate bound form of mercury, is still coming off of these mined sites with every storm event. So our understanding of when and what form mercury is traveling from these sites fundamentally changed our need to incorporate them as part of forest health projects and as part of the TMDL, or total maximum daily load permitting process. So the questions at hand today are, can hydraulic mines be remediated as part of forest health projects? And can we create financial mechanisms for including mines and meadows in forest health projects? Let's see here. So the Trapper project, this is our case study. It's a 31,000 acre planning area with 19,000 acres of national forest land. And the project is to improve forest health and resilience to changing climatic conditions, reduce surface and ladder fuels, protect and improve wildlife habitat, and this last one in red, maintain and improve watershed and soils conditions. So there are 63 hydraulic mines in the Trapper boundary covering more than 1,000 acres. And this single bullet point in the Nepa of the Trapper project is a placeholder for hydraulic mine remediation. More specifically, the FONSI in 2020 of October specifies hydraulic mine stabilization at the bottom of your screen and drainage improvements as part of the project description. So in the Nepa document, it has not been a hurdle to include hydraulic mine remediation as part of the permitting process. In 2018, Sierra Fund got a planning grant from the Sierra Nevada Conservancy to conduct informed assessment at 2 of the hydraulic mines in the Trapper project, Grizzly Creek and Tippecanoe. This means that we had an archaeological survey done for these 2 sites, that we conducted stormwater sampling so that we had a baseline condition to measure project effectiveness. It means that we developed a remediation design that was informed by cultural and environmental assessment findings. And we also created fuels reduction and erosion prevention plans for these sites. So these were our pilot project hydraulic mine sites within Trapper. And when I say hydraulic mine remediation, a lot of people, I think they think something really complicated, really expensive, and really different will occur there. And I put these bullet points on to show you that actually it's just forest health. I mean, it's in fact fuels reduction. 50 acres of fuels reduction is what the Grizzly Creek hydraulic mine remediation project entails. It also includes some recontouring of the land to reduce erosion rates, stabilizing a head cut, stabilizing a debris control dam on site, using biochar and chips as soil amendments, and in fact, a pilot to look at how biochar test plots can be used to reduce the amount of mercury coming off this site. But in essence, these activities aren't far from the forest health activities that are already planned. And in fact, if we're in there already, it makes sense, it makes a lot of sense to do these projects, forest health and mine remediation at the same time. So can hydraulic mines be remediated as part of forest health projects? On the federal or NEPA side, I would say yes. On the state or CEQA side, we're still in the process of determining the best way to do this. Why is CEQA so important? Well, in order to get state funds, we have to go through CEQA. Now, many of the fuels reduction activities actually got exemption for going through CEQA through Senate Bill 901, which allows some of the activities to go forward at a fast pace, but they still have to take into account cultural resources and threatened and endangered species. So what will happen with the activities that are considered hydraulic mine remediation and how they fit in? That's still unknown. So finding a way to finance the hydraulic mine remediation within the forest health project is still a really critical piece. And it depends on the quantification of ecosystem benefits that remediating them would result in. Ecosystem benefits of hydraulic mine remediation include sediment abatement, like we talked about, carbon sequestration, and mercury reduction. So the extent to which we can quantify these, then we can use them to do this economic model calculation of whether or not this is a good investment. USGS has been looking at how to use terrestrial LiDAR to measure erosion rates from these badland topographies for some time now. So this is a different use of LiDAR. And we're currently using this estimate that was developed from their previous studies of 0.1 cubic meters per square meter per year. And so again, this is draft work. We can improve upon these. And in fact, as our Grizzly Creek Sierra Nevada Conservancy implementation grant currently includes using terrestrial-based LiDAR at that site specifically, so we can have an erosion rate for that site. But for now, we have it from other sites, and it's better than nothing. Where does this matter most? Well, there are two impoundments that Yuba Water Agency has had to invest significant amount of resources to physically remove sediment from behind these dams to keep them operational. Log Cabin Dam on Oregon Creek and Our House Dam on the Middle Yuba. Specifically, the Our House Dam sediment removal project cost them $7 million to remove 90,000 tons of sediment. All right, let's remember that 90,000 tons and put this into context. When we look at these two watersheds, so we're going to look at both Oregon Creek and the Middle Yuba and how they overlay with the Trapper Forest Health Project, you can see that the Oregon Creek subwatershed covers about half the Trapper project area. In the Oregon Creek subwatershed above the Log Cabin Dam, it's about 18,000 acres and has 54 hydraulic mines. That's 320 acres of hydraulic mine acres. And using the USGS erosion rate, it's estimated that there's 250,000 tons of sediment per year coming from these sites. This is not with a fire or if something changes. This is what we estimate is currently going on from these badland topographies, from these hydraulic mine sites. So there's a real need. Similarly, for the Middle Yuba above Our House Dam, there's 66,000 acres with 15 hydraulic mines totaling 395 acres, and that's estimated to be releasing 300,000 tons of sediment per year. All right, so how do we do the math of a resilience bond? So this is a draft concept idea that we're starting to talk about with partners. We're calling it the Abandoned Mine Land Resilience Bond. The first thing we need is to know about the cost of remediation for each acre of hydraulic mine impacted land. So that cost is about $35,000 to $50,000 an acre. And the number of hydraulic mine acres in the Middle Yuba and Oregon Creek is about 715 acres. What that means is that there's a need for $24 to $35 million to remediate the hydraulic mines in these two subwatersheds. This is an investment opportunity and can be part of the resilience bond. It's an investment opportunity because the cost to remove 900,000 tons of sediment was estimated to be about $7 million. So the amount of hydraulic mine sediment per year coming out of the mine sites is 550,000 tons of sediment per year. So that's $42 million to keep up with the sediment that's coming out. And the problem is not fixed. In addition, so the benefits of doing the hydraulic mine remediation is reducing the amount of sediment in the impoundments, but there's other co-benefits because it would increase carbon sequestration in the soils with biochar and fuels reduction, and it would also reduce mercury discharge with remediation. So again, these numbers are preliminary. They are not perfect. They're a back of the envelope calculation for, does this make sense to start putting together a resilience bond for abandoned mine lands? And it makes sense to the Yuba Water Agency, as you heard in a moment ago, Willie speak. So back to these key questions around forest health. So can hydraulic mines be remediated as part of forestry projects? Well, we have pilot projects in process for that. And can we create a financial mechanism for including mines in forest health? We're currently trying to develop the market incentives using the forest resilience bond model. Just wrapping up here. So a summary, when we started this work, there was a lot of old thinking, which I really have been told many times. It was that the mines are in the middle of nowhere, and so they're not causing any problems. It was that all the mercury had washed out, and it was that there's really nothing we can do about it. Well, look at how far we've come today. We can inventory with the number of hydraulic mines using LiDAR, giving us this new understanding of where they are. Our sampling during star events have given us the understanding that mercury is still being discharged from these sites. And there absolutely is something we can do about it. The particulate bound mercury itself, that discharge can be reduced by filtering or settling or adding biochar to the site, soil amendments, and abandoned mines can be remediated as part of forest health projects and should be eligible for the same funding sources. This is my last slide. So whether you are routing a trail, treating a forest, or building fish habitat, knowing how legacy mines impact your project will only make your project better, longer lasting, and if done well, can be an opportunity to address the longest neglected environmental issue in our state.